Hey YouTube, Winter here, and I'm back talking about tea. This is a little special bonus for those who have been following along the Tasseomancy playlist, so my tea leaf reading series. I started to notice that as I got more into regularly engaging in tea leaf reading, that using the basic teas wasn't always enough for me. But that's kind of my personality type too. Once I become accustomed to something or I do something regularly, I like to kick it up a notch. So I started looking at how I could enhance my tea blends that I was using, my loose tea leaf that I was using to steep in the pot and use for the readings. So I thought I would share just a few of the simplest ways that you could do the same thing, because maybe you're like me and maybe you've been experimenting, or maybe you've even been tea leaf reading, not experimentally, but you've been doing it more seriously or in a dedicated manner, and you're just ready to enhance your teas, your tea blends that you've been using. And maybe you just want to customize them for your readings, which is what I was thinking. So the first way to do it would be to just add a single ingredient or two um, that would be specific to the nature of your reading. So, of course, you have to know the nature of your reading. And you'll kind of know what's on your mind, the topic at hand, maybe the kind of spread. We don't call them spreads, right? We call them layouts when you're doing tea leaf readings, but they would remind you of spreads in tarot. So, suffice it to say, you can always use just full leaf, loose leaf, black, green, white, or oolong tea to your liking, always. You can take those same teas that you might have around now if you've been following along and you've been doing some tea leaf reading, experimenting at least. You can add an ingredient or two to those same teas. So you just get your basic black, your breakfast black, your Irish breakfast tea, whatever it is, and then you can add to it, a nice herb or flower or fruit. So for intuition and psychic abilities, if you want to enhance those because of the nature of your reading, you could add a bit of mugwort. I guess I should do a disclaimer here. And my disclaimer is always check with your doctor to ensure that no herbs or anything that you're ingesting is going to be a problem for your personal health. It won't interfere with any medications you may be on. And an additional disclaimer is I really think it's important to get things that you know come from a reliable source. You don't want them to be sprayed with pesticides. You want them to be, food grade, organic if possible. More local, the better. Know your growers, know your farmers, and ideally, if you have a little patch on your balcony in the summertime in your tiny apartment, and you can grow a bit of mint or anything else. Use it. Do it yourself. Then you know where it came from and you're involved in the process. Okay, now that that's said, so for intuition and psychic abilities, I say mugwort. Just add a little bit of it. It's going to have to be to your taste. You blend it in with the rest of the loose leaf tea. For relationship readings, all kinds, not just romantic relationships, any kind of interpersonal relationship. Rose petals, of course. That's a classic, right? For money matters, I like mint. And mint grows like a weed. In fact, it will take over your garden. Be careful where you grow it. I prefer to grow it in a raised bed or a pot to contain that beast, because you cannot stop it. I don't know who can kill mint. If you can kill mint, comment below, because you are impressive. It is really hard to completely kill mint. And it's wonderful for financial readings that have to do with those kinds of issues. Orange peel is another favorite and so cheap. So you can also just squeeze orange juice over the rest of your tea, let it dry out, but you can mix it in and blend it. But drying out the orange peels is great, and it's so easy to do. So you eat an orange and they're dirt cheap, and save the peel and slice it thinly and put it in the oven on the lowest setting until it seems dried out. And then you can dice it and blend that in with the loose leaf tea that you already have on hand, because it's good for all of the things I just discussed, all of those things, relationships, money, psychic abilities, intuition, all of that. And in addition, it's wonderful for divination. So it's kind of the perfect ingredient, and it's pretty readily available in most places. All right, so that's the process of just adding a key ingredient or two to the tea that you already have on hand, or the teas that you've already bought for tea leaf reading, or the teas that you're already using. The other thing you can do is create your own customized blend. Now, this is if you don't want to use anything that already exists, and you're going to blend up your own, and you're going to put your own intention into it, and you can go into that as deeply as you wish. And it doesn't even have to have official tea in it unless you want it to. Always you can add that. But a tea is really any plant matter that has been steeped in hot or boiling water for a certain amount of time. So we talked about that in the beginning of this series. It doesn't actually have to be officially a tea leaf. So I have a couple of recipes that I use, and you can make as much, you can double it, triple it, you can, cut it in half. You're still going to want to do basically a teaspoon to a tablespoon per cup, depending on how strong you like your tea. So if you're making a whole teapot full and you're going to serve 2 or 3 people or 4 people, you'll adjust accordingly. But this is usually how I blend it up, and I store them just in glass mason jars with the metal screw top lid. The one that's good, I call it my psychic tea, is you use 6 teaspoons of rose petals and 4 teaspoons of thyme. These are all dried. 4 teaspoons of yarrow root, 2 teaspoons clove, and 2 teaspoons cinnamon. And mix it all together. And then you would take 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of that per cup. And then if you're making a whole teapot, maybe you'll do 2 to 4 of those, depending on how many cups you plan to pour from that teapot. And this recipe I call my Peace, Love, and Joy recipe, and it's kind of just a go-to. It's perfect for all general well-being kind of readings. It's really great for like year ahead, month ahead, just sort of a check-in. So you just mix 1 part lemon, 1 part lavender, and 2 parts chamomile, and that one is lovely as well. Now you'll notice you'll want to try to add ingredients that are of a similar weight and shape, but they all can't be that way. And things that might be fluffier or heavier than other things, denser or not, you may see them act differently in the readings. And don't let that throw you. So this is really your next stage. If you've been following along on this Tasseomancy series, start with the basics like I told you, the basic black, the basic green, whatever. And then add these things in when you're ready, when you feel confident, you're used to finding the shapes and the symbols and reading them, so that it doesn't throw you off. I don't think you would start your very first reading this way. I mean, maybe you can and you'll be fine, but I just would recommend keeping it simple and adding these things in as a way to scaffold your experience, so to make it a little more complex and a little more interesting and a little more intense when you're ready. And you'll know when you're ready, because you'll have the natural urge to, watch this video, or the natural urge to take notes, or the natural urge to make that purchase or grow that herb for your tea blend. So when you have the urge, it's probably the right time. What else do I want to say? There's another way that you can add a little bit of meaning and enhancement to a tea leaf reading, and that is through the sweetener that you use. So I really like to make herbal infused sugars. They're very simple. I first learned how to do it when I worked in the culinary world on a regular basis. I'm still a frequent flyer, a visitor. I have some connections, and I get called in sometimes to work there seasonally, because I live in a tourist town, and I enjoy it very much. But when it was my career and my life for a while, I watched so many lovely sugars be made seasonally. So some go-tos are lavender sugar, basil sugar, Trying to think of some of the others. Did I make notes? I made notes just on my recipe, I think. Yeah. Oh, hibiscus. Hibiscus sugar. I love hibiscus everything. But I like the slow infused sugar method. You can, look all this up online. There are many ways to do it. But the way I would do it is, let's just take basil or mint, for example. You would, pluck the leaves. Obviously, they're clean. Hopefully, they're organic, not pesticide covered and whatnot. Dry. You want them very dry. And then you're going to fill a pint jar, like a mason jar, with the sugar of your choice, the sweetener of your choice. And then, so I'm thinking of a dry sweetener. It may not actually be like cane sugar. That's fine, whatever you use. And then you're going to taste, like to your taste. Do you want it strong or not so strong? You're going to put all the basil leaves or all the mint leaves that you've decided to add to this and blend them in really well. Put the lid on tight, store it in a cool, dry, dark place for up to a month. You could go 6 weeks, you could go longer. I like it. I want to know that I went to that trouble and that I can taste that herb, and that herb was infused throughout the sugar. You can shake it up a few times throughout the weeks, that you're waiting for it to be done. You can stir it a bit. Some herbs that you add will give it a beautiful color. You might have a mint green colored sugar by the end of the process. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to wait for those herbs to be dry, by the way. Like, when I said dry, I mean like when you washed them off, they're not still soaking wet, but they can be freshly picked and inserted into your sugar. They don't have to be dried out until they're crunchy. Does that make sense? So they can still be very fresh. You just don't want to be soaking wet from washing them off. I just wanted to be clear about that. So those are wonderful just to put out. So you can use a regular tea, whatever your regular go-to tea is to read. And then if you're going to sweeten your tea, and a lot of people do, then you can use that as a way to sweeten it. And that is also lending the properties of that plant symbolically or magically or whatever term you want to use. Herbally, I guess we can say. All we count as herbs pretty much. My last suggestion for enhancing your tea leaf reading is maybe you're not the Martha Stewart type. Maybe you are, but you're just too freaking busy. I've been there. I'm there frequently. So also maybe you just want to see what other people are up to. There are some gourmands out there making some amazing teas. So what you would like to do is you want to purchase a wonderful tea blend to use in your tea leaf reading. You want to be able to enjoy drinking it and enjoy reading it. I have a couple of suggestions for you. So I have a couple of favorites. And let's see, who shall I start with? I will start with one that might be a little more well-known, but it is still a small family-owned business. I believe they're based in Oregon, and they're called Plum Deluxe. So, oh gosh, let's see if we can there we go. So it's looking backwards to me. I don't know if it'll turn out backwards to you. I think not, if memory serves. Okay? All right, so Plum Deluxe, deluxe with an E on the end, is an ethical artisan tea making company. They use fresh, seasonally based, small batch methods. It's organic. Ingredients that they source outside of themselves are fair trade. It's so delightful. It's so thoughtful. They work with the seasons. So you can just go to their site and purchase a tea blend. And if any tea you purchase, it's going to be, what is this, 2.5 ounces? Maybe. Might be more. This might be bigger. Yeah. So I think you get about 10 cups maybe from it. And I can't remember what they run. Maybe anywhere from $4 to $10. It just depends on what you're getting. And their limited availability. I actually joined their subscription. So it's I think it's about $10 a month. And so they just send you a surprise package. They work with the seasons. You do set your preferences when you first join. So I think I kept showing you Autumn Vibes black tea. I think that's the one I kept showing you, which is wonderful. And I also, the first purchase I made, so the Autumn Vibes came as my seasonal subscription, I think. But the first purchase I made outside of what comes with the subscription was the Royal Wedding tea blend, which is amazing. Amazing. Let's see if we can read ingredients here so you get the idea. So by the way, they didn't pay me. They don't know I'm even talking about them. They're probably never going to see this. I'm just sharing, if you want this, if you are looking for a good resource, I'm sharing with you what I like. So, okay, the Royal Wedding Black Tea is all organic black tea, lemon peel, elderflowers, vanilla and almond essences, love, gratitude. Those are the ingredients. Very sweet. And you'll notice with these kinds of teas, you steep them a little longer than you might a commercial tea or a grocery store tea. So just be prepared for that. And the other one, the Autumn Vibes Black Tea, it just came in the September subscription package. You get this cute little purple envelope, and you never know what's going to be in it because it changes all the time, and that's what's wonderful about it. Is black tea, apple pieces, hazelnut pieces, cinnamon chips, hazelnut essence, love, and gratitude. They always tell you if it has caffeine or not. You can get non-caffeinated teas if you want. You can get iced teas, but that's pretty much a seasonal thing. So I think those end by the time October begins. I'm pretty sure they won't be selling the iced teas. They do that seasonally. I like working with the seasons. You can see what comes in your subscription box and then look up the key ingredients in it. You can taste it and see what seems like an overwhelming fragrance on the nose or taste, and then you can use it accordingly for certain kinds of readings. Maybe it'll even inspire a spread. I have one more for you. So this one is super local. Shout out to Ohio, because I'm a Midwest girl. And we have a couple. Now, I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not, but I really don't care. So there is a company. It's also family owned. It's much smaller than Plum Deluxe, I would say. It's a very tiny family. I think it's a mom, a dad, and a daughter. And they are running this themselves, super tiny, super locally. They're very interested in sustainability. I think for every tea they sell, they plant a tree somewhere in the world. It's quite lovely. And they have come to specialize in CBD teas. So if you've been paying attention to the holistic market and the gradual legalization of hemp products, not marijuana. I'm not talking about THC. I'm talking about CBD, which does come from hemp. It's a different thing. It's not a get you high thing, but it does have benefits. Then you'll know what I'm talking about. And even though I think federally it's legal in all states, the FDA hasn't released approval. So states have been slow. It's been a gradual approval to be able to sell anything with CBD until they can regulate it to FDA standards and make claims, via the FDA. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. But it is legal recently in Ohio, and it is not a thing that gets you stoned. Having said that, they have quite a few blends, and they're limited time only, for a month or two, and then it's a different one. And I will share my favorites with you. The first one I tried was this one. There you go. Down the Rabbit Hole. Very appropriate, right, for this channel. And so far it's my favorite. Yeah, and I'll read you the ingredients. So it is patchouli leaf, holy basil, high CBD hemp flower, which has been activated. That's important. So that if you just get hemp flowers to add to your teas, which you can do to get the CBD effects and benefits, you will have to activate them first, which involves just low heat. But you can do your own research on that and make sure it's legal where you are. Blue lotus flower, wild daga mugwort, ginkgo biloba, passion flower, chamomile, French super blue lavender, and yeah. So there you go. That's Down the Rabbit Hole. And the other one that I tried that had CBD in it is Blue Galaxy CBD. And that one turned the whole tea blue. So if you're, I don't know, kind of color witchy and you like color associations, they are very playful. I just ordered another one that's only going to be available for October. And it's supposedly a blood red color based on, I don't know, hibiscus and raspberry and some other things that are in it. But this one, which is called Blue Galaxy, it contains what? Hemp flower, blue lotus flower, butterfly pea flower. So that's a high blue quality if you get butterfly pea flower. So if you're just looking for color, you could also just order butterfly pea flower somewhere. French super blue lavender, calendula, California poppy, passion flower. So those are the ingredients. And these are delightful. They're kind of all over the palette. They're really interesting. They make beautiful colors in your teacup. When you drink them, they are this nice loose leaf tea that you can read. They're great for readings. So why would anyone ever want to use CBD? You can do your own research on that, I think. The only thing I'm going to say about it really is that it's their CBD is sourced from hemp flowers. They pre-activate them. You get an overall sense, a general sense of well-being and relaxation. It has been associated with dreams and insomnia, lowering anxiety and stress. So maybe, I don't know, if you're doing some kind of a shadow work reading or some kind of intense reading or asking difficult questions, or it's of an emotional or painful nature of the reading, you just know it's going to go that way or that's what's going on. It might be a good choice, a CBD tea, if that's available to you. Please note that CBD is not water soluble. So with these teas, you have to offer some kind of fat. Cream is a classic. A lot of people put cream in their tea anyway. If you don't want an animal product, you can do like coconut oil, just a little bit. It just takes a little. But in order to get the full effect physically and I guess in the mind, you need a little bit of fat to go with those kinds of teas. CBD is also known to be associated, because it's a hemp product, with healing, with a sense of peace, with happiness and joy, with overall positivity, psychic development, psychic ability, meditation. It's directly associated with being beneficial to meditation. So you can see why hemp flowers and thus CBD products are kind of a go-to choice for me, why it might be one of my favorite teas or favorite ingredient to add to a tea blend. So I have other recipes, but I think I'll save them for future videos. I threw a lot at you today. You'll notice I didn't use my good camera. I used my little old laptop because I didn't want to be limited by time as much, but I do still try to keep my videos fairly short. So if you're a tea aficionado, or you're just about to be a tea aficionado, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it adds another layer of pleasure and skill and excitement to your tea leaf reading journey, if that's the journey you're on. And let's see, if you have a suggestion for an ingredient or a resource where you can order teas that would be wonderful for tea leaf reading. Maybe you have a recipe you'd like to share. Don't be shy. Put it down in the comments. So far, at the time of this recording, I'm pretty safe. I don't get a lot of trolling. And even when I do get trolling, it's usually kind of cute and sweet. I don't want to jinx myself, but so far so good. I think I've come out unscathed compared to so many other people on YouTube. So don't be shy and share down below. I would love to read what you have to say. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.